Okay? Like if he's a fireman, he has to go into burning buildings. He has to go and climb high buildings. He has to do dangerous work. And it's gross work and it's abrasive work. Do you understand? Or even if you're a Garda today in Ireland, it's abrasive. You get abuse on the streets. Do you understand? You have to go into places that are violent. Okay? You won't be called the nicest of names. It's abrasive, okay? But when he goes home to his wife, it's not abrasive. Okay? She brings that sovereign femininity, that closeness, that touch, that warmth and comfort. A wife is soothing. Do you understand? It's soothing. It's warming. So what? So he can go out again next day. Do you understand? It's different. The family is different. Okay? And that's what femininity, just one example of how femininity charges up masculinity. By being soothing, by being healing, by being calming. And just listening to someone. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay. Okay, so
Switch on.
No, it is on button.
oh, battery's probably gone, is it?
Oh, could be a battery.
Could be the battery, is it? Hardly. You do it for me, okay. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. It's the third talk, actually. Go on. Okay.
Oh, is it the next one?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah. Grand. Okay, almost there. Yeah, oh. Yeah, that's okay. That's it. Okay, great. Okay. As I said earlier, so the talk is on the mystery of the family today from a Catholic perspective, okay? What's the Creator's plan for our life in community, in the family, okay? So we'll draw from John Paul II, certainly, and I presume I have other writers there as well. So the next slide, thanks, Helen, yeah. So, we start with God. Working again, yeah? So we start with God in his triune mystery. Okay? John Paul says, our God in his deepest mystery is not solitude, but a family. Okay, which is beautiful. For he has within himself fatherhood, sonship, and the essence of the family, which is love. It's very simple, but it's also very profound. Okay, the best thoughts, the best theology, very simple, but very deep. Okay, and that will be a repeated theme of John Paul II in Familiaris Consortio and Letter to Families. You know, the heart of the family is love. Okay, the love of the Holy Spirit. We can talk about that today because it's Pentecost, the day of Pentecost. At the heart of the family, God's plan for the family is the family be like himself. Like this perfect, indivisible communion in God. Okay? So what Pope John Paul II would say, become what you are. You're God in miniature. You're God in a microcosm. You're a little image of the triune God. Okay? So become what you are. Families, become what you are. Okay? Keep going. Oh, I can go, can't I? Okay. Oh, back. Okay. So, the family is presented in the Creator's plan as the primary place of humanization for the person and society. Okay, that's very important, okay? Where do the humanizing elements come in our life? When we're told to tie our laces, when we're told to button our shirts, when you're told to clean your hair, or wash yourself or sit up straight, okay? We hear those things, they're humanizing, okay? We can't learn basic hygiene or basic courtesies, manners, self-respect without the family. Okay, the unfortunate thing is that during the famine here in Ireland, I suppose children found themselves in workhouses without their family, and it's like Charles Dickens' novel. People had to live that harsh reality of not having a family, okay, and not having that primary place where we're humanized, where actually we become the person we're meant to be in our family. And if for the first 10 years of your life, your family is actually working as a unit, as it should be, it will help you enormously in later life. Okay, if in your early years it's not working, it will actually, it'll put a DE in front of that, okay? It will actually be quite destructive, and we may spend the rest of our life trying to overcome that, unfortunately, okay? The family is the cradle of life and love. Okay, life, it brings the new person into a procreation, babies, lots of life in babies, and love, okay? And the love they need and the love each member of the family needs, okay? So in the family, children learn their first lessons of practical wisdom. If we spoil our children, they become part of the me society. Me féin, agus, everyone else, okay? Do you understand? We don't want to do that, okay? We don't want to make our families into toy store. Do you understand? You go in, it's a miniature toy store, okay? Because that's selfishness. But we do want to teach our children the first lessons of practical wisdom, okay? Even their manners will be very important here. Let your brother sit first. Let your brother sit down first. Let him eat first, okay? Make sure everyone's eating before you start eating. Okay, stop grabbing the potatoes, all these things, So we learn the things that we were learning yesterday. The virtues and the excellence of life. They happen in what's called the church in miniature. Okay, because the family is the domestic church. The family is the church around the fireplace. You see that museum yesterday some of us went to, Where did the family gather to tell stories, to say the rosary? Sometimes probably eat. Well, they would have probably a kitchen table over, because I know from my grandfather's house, like, have the kitchen table over here, then you've got the fireplace here, and everything happens around the fireplace. And the television was over here, it's black and white, and the television only gone at 9 o'clock for the news. But everything happened over around the fireplace. All the stories and the tracing of relatives and the visitors and all that. And you went into that family, you were part of that family. They brought you in. And you were there, and my grandmother said to me at about 11, or I didn't hear it myself, she says, I think Alan will be a priest. And then I was working kind of building work for my uncle. I was trying to make money, going off in this minibus every morning, trying to make money after college, 20, no money, 19, no money. Everyone's smoking, terrible stuff, and telling kind of all kinds of stuff, And my granny said, Alan is not cut out for that kind of work, But she's right. Things happen in families, I'm saying, okay? They see things. Grandmothers are very important. The third generation. When John Paul II talks about the family, it's never a one-tier family. It's grannies and great-grandmothers, if you have them, It's the children. It's not the little tot is the centre of things, okay? Your grandmother may need as much care. Do you understand? And even in our life as Dominicans, the older brothers are very important. Why? Because they humanize us. Okay? They personalize us. They've lived life. They've got grey hairs. They're in wheelchairs sometimes. But we learn a lot from them about what is to be human. Because we can't learn that from others. Okay. So We're learning the virtues, okay, the excellences of life in the church in miniature around the fireplace, okay? Not around the iPod, okay? Well, maybe it's changed today, okay? So, okay, what does family mean? Famulus means servant. Okay, so originally it meant the household of servants. Okay, it's changed in meaning, okay? We say familiar, we don't mean the servants now, okay? But that's what it originally meant, okay? It meant, Downside Abbey? Downton Abbey?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the servants' quarters, okay? The servants' table. That's what it meant. But we don't mean it, it's extended in meaning. It doesn't mean that now anymore, okay? Okay, what's the family, okay? The family is the social institution for raising of children, care of the elderly, and passing on values in society. Okay. What do they say in the Irish greeting? They say, who do you belong to? When you knock on the doors. Who's yours, They want to know where your family's from. Are you Sean's Kathleen? Do you understand? They always relate your identity to your family. It's the Irish way of speaking because they had their families were close. In Knock, their families were close. See little tiggeens that they had, little housings that they had. That's the way it was. And you knew people by their families. You knew that you were Sean Tobin's third son. And what was your name? Your name was Francis. Do you understand? But that's how people knew you. They knew each other's families, okay? And the whole network of families, okay? So, raising children, care of the elderly, passing on values in society. And why am I saying that? Is that because they know your family, they assume they know you. Do you get it? I know your father. I picked turf. I dug turf with your father. I spent long days out in the bog digging turf, and you're his son. So you can be trusted because I know your father. Do you understand? And it is, and this is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, okay? So passing on value. How are values transmitted? They're transmitted in the family. Okay? We learn things. Children, I was saying to the lads just at breakfast, that the dad has to be the role model for the younger boy. Because they learn how to be men from their dads, We don't want them to learn how to be men from the superstars on the boxing circuit, or on what do you call that, multiple kickboxing stuff, all multiple arts, whatever they do, those things,
MMA, isn't mixed martial arts?
Yeah, all those things, okay? We want the dad to be a model of fatherhood, of love and diligent care for his family. We want him to be that. And we want his sons to learn their fatherhood or their masculinity from him. Do you understand? Even the way they walk. Because boys copy other men. Okay? So it's important, okay? So those preparing for marriage, that you have a proper understanding of manhood and masculinity. So it mediates between the individual and the state. It's kind of an intermediate society. Okay? If the state becomes too encroaching, it takes away from families. Okay, we have the parent state today. It's probably too encroaching on family life and on education, and gives a secular model of education. But it's not just the individual. It's in between the individual and the state. It's just that my life or you, your identity, who you are, who you're to become, happens in the nexus or the knot of your family. Okay, you learn your own humanity from your brothers and sisters. Stop taking all the spuds, Yeah, give me back my shirt, all those things. The funny things that happen. It's funny, families are funny. They're actually comic as well, It is our basic social unit. It takes us beyond ourselves. Okay? And the thing about your family, because families are kind of intimate without being intimate, okay? They kind of know you better than you know yourself sometimes, Like when I come back from Switzerland, when I was living abroad, I'd come back with new shoes or a new hat. They'd all be laughing at me. Because my mother would say, oh, wait till they see this, Besides, he's getting notions. Do you understand? He's getting a bit beyond himself, you know. We know who you are. And my cousin Pearl, I love my cousin Pearl, she would say to me, you don't be saying that to us now because we know what you were like as a teenager, you know. So I can't say that, I can't get at on them, you know, because they know. Because when you're a priest in your family, you have to treat them a bit differently. You can't be as you're in other families. And they expect you to be a priest, and they compare you to other priests. So it's a tough kind of ride, that one, okay? Okay. Why can't you be like other priests without dancing? You weren't dancing, were you? You know, I was just at a wedding. I wasn't in the mood for dancing, okay? But, okay, the family has a subjectivity of its own, especially expressed in the Our Father, okay? In the family, like there's a common identity. There's a common we. There are things, as I've said before, that only your family understand, and only the members of your family get it. It might be just a joke about me and my hat and things like that, okay? Everyone in the family will get that, okay? And they laugh, okay? And fall around the place. But if it's a time of sadness, everyone feels it. The whole family feels it. My niece was very sick in hospital. I'll give a lot about my family this time because it's probably appropriate. But, my niece was sick in hospital, only 9 months old. She had critical brain injury. She nearly died, but she's alive now, thank God. But the whole family, everyone was suffering. You know, that's what happens, you know, in families. Okay, so, and you know that in your own family, the joys and the laughters and the sorrows and the pains. Okay, that's what he means by this word subjectivity. There's a kind of a clan mentality. There's kind of a tribe, okay? Everyone gets hurt at the same time, and everyone rejoices at the same time. And it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, you know, it's a good thing generally, okay? So expressing, when we say the Our Father, we're doing it together with a common heart or a common mind, okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the first and fundamental structure for human ecology is the family, in which man receives his first formative ideas about truth and goodness, and learns what it means to love and to be loved, and thus what it actually means to be a person. Okay, again, that's very simple. Okay, it's the first structure for human ecology. It's our natural habitat. Okay. Badgers live in certain kind of, what about little holes in the ground, don't they? They go in there. Hobbits live in hobbit holes, you know that's their habitat. Do you understand? But families, we live in bungalows. I live in a bungalow. People might live in a terraced house, wherever. But that's your little habitat. Okay? And what really happens within the walls of that house, nobody really knows. They don't always know what's happening. You know, because there's a certain privacy there as well, okay? But when we learn our first formative ideas about truth and goodness, don't be watching that rubbish. Turn off that stuff. Do you understand? That's not good music. Listen to Spirit Radio. listen to Pure in Heart on at 4 o'clock, you know? Why don't you listen to that, you know? What it means to love and to be loved, okay? We get our first early experience when you're a baby, when you're brought home, when you were christened. You got all this attention. Everyone's Googling about you and oodling about you and all that. You didn't even know you were being loved, but you didn't have the words for it. But you're actually being formed. You're becoming secure. When you cried, you got things. Do you understand? And I mean, my first day in school, my first kind of big break with my mother, sure, I was in bits. I don't know how I went back the second day. Do you know, because my mother just had me for 4 years before I went to school. And it was a big break to go to school. I remember that, you know, first day at school. Means to be loved and to be loved, you know. And to give back love. The first lessons on, you know, the things we're not really good at, how to receive love. and how to give love. And remember what I say, L plates? We all have L plates here. We don't know how to receive it, and we don't know how to give it. The best place for learning is our family. Okay? But in some ways, yeah, okay. And what it means to be a person. Remember, a person is a mystery. We're still trying to figure out who we are. You know? I mean, girls here, you haven't yet met Mr. Perfect, you know, but and until you do, you won't know who you are. In a sense. Okay. Because he or she, if it's a man, okay? In a sense like, what am I saying? I'm saying that if you're a girl, you look for a man. If you're a boy, you look for a girl, okay? They, at that stage of your life, say you're in your mid-20s, and you meet someone, okay? That person will reveal things about you that you didn't know. They'll transmit things back to you didn't know about yourself. Okay, it's the first man and woman. They transmit things to each other. It's nice, you know, it's nice to have that experience, okay? What it is to be a person. How it is to be treated as a person. How to treat others. This is where we learn the golden rule, okay? Treat others as you would like them to treat you. Okay? Be false to no one, and no one will be false to you. I don't know if that's true, but, you know, don't be false. Don't be a charade or whatever, okay? Okay, so simple enough. It's very simple stuff. Yeah, so the great workshop of love. Okay, another way of talking about the family. Okay, so faced with a society that's running the risk of becoming more and more depersonalized and standardized, and therefore inhuman and dehumanizing, with the negative results of many forms of escapism, okay, usually on internet today, or maybe in AI in another few years, I don't know, such as alcoholism, drugs, and even terrorism. And I sometimes even say sport, you know, when it's in excess, okay? The family possesses and continues to release formidable energies capable of taking man out of his anonymity, keeping him conscious of his personal dignity, enriching him with deep humanity, and actively placing him in his uniqueness and unrepeatability within the fabric of society. Okay, there's a whole lot of things we can talk about there, you know. Yeah, again, it's the family who's personalizing us. The family, for St. Thomas Aquinas, is the spiritual womb. Okay, you're 18 years in your family, for example. Irish men are probably a bit longer, you know. Don't they, you know? They can be a bit longer. But we're... So it's a protective enclosure before you're ready for the world. Okay? Before you're ready to go dating or things like that, or to meet someone, meet a spouse, or, you know, maybe you have a vocation to consecrated life, perhaps, okay? But it's there. It looks over you. It oversees you. It helps you to mature, to be formed. It's a long time of gestation for human beings. Do you understand? A long time before we're actually formed. Like, our brain is not properly formed until we're about 24. Teenagers can't think like a 24-year-old can. The teenager thinks in the now. Like, I went to college first at 18. My brain wasn't formed, honestly. I mean, although I was kind of good at maths and things, I was good at things academically, but my brain wasn't formed. I couldn't figure out philosophy. You know, I get my first essay into the tutor, and he says, "Is this poetry?" He said, I just talked about trees, you know. I didn't know what philosophy was. I couldn't get it, you know. And then I went back as a Dominican, 24, 25, and I got it. This is about argument. This is about postulating an argument. My brain had developed. Okay, so, you know, that kind of way. So we're still developing, okay, when we're in our families. The family possesses formidable energies. It's a powerful unit. It's a secret leaven of society. The future of humanity passes by way of the family. That's John Paul II. It passes by way of the family. Get the family, you get society. get the family, you get the individual man or woman. You get them in identity kind of, you get confusion and all the things that happen to people, okay? You get them into escapism, you get them into alcoholism, you get them into drugs, and even terrorism, joining the provisional IRA at times, that was a form of escapism. You got some money, but you got this cause, you got this ideology to cling to, and that gave you your identity. And even though you would kill or kneecap or do bloody things to people, that's what was keeping you going. Okay, it's different to this. It's different to what the uniqueness and unrepeatability of the person. Your true identity in God, in Christ. Okay, as we say today, okay? So the family is also the womb of citizenship. Okay, so you're trying to save society, you need to save the family. You need to have public policies and governmental policies that protect family life, that protect the institution of marriage between man and woman. Do you understand? You're protecting your society. You're protecting your future. You're trying to give incentives now for people to have children. I think Italy is trying to do it, because no one's having children. Okay? They'll never win the World Cup again. There are no children. Why? Because they're contracepting themselves out of business. Okay? Do you understand? I mean, that might sound flippant, but it's true. Okay? Before that, before 1964, nations built cultures. They built families. Families, they built new generations. Different. I've done that talk before. Yeah. Okay. Hamani Viti. Okay. So let's keep going. Oops. Okay. The family, in fact, is born of the intimate communion of life and love founded on the marriage between one man and one woman, okay? That's our understanding. That's the nucleus of the family, okay? It's life and love, okay? It's not just love, it's also life. The family is love-giving, but it's also life-giving, okay? There are babies to be fed. There are toddlers to run after. Okay, do you understand? There are children to take to daycare or pre-care or whatever, preschool, and then you have to bring them to primary school. You have to get them in. You have to get access to a school, Then you have to save up if they're bright, if they want to go to college, You've got to have things in the bank so that they can go to college later on, You have to hound them to do their leaving cert, okay? And stop going to discos and things like that. Do you know what I mean? They're just all the things you have to do to chase after your family to make me what it wants to be. If you're a parent, okay, what might be added, okay? But it's based on this kind of project between the man and the woman, okay? We want this to work. We want this basic love unit to work, okay? When it works, it's fairest love, okay? It's the most beautiful thing in the world. When it doesn't work, it's very painful and very catastrophic, you could say, okay? So that's what we do in Pure Heart. We want this to work. We want to work for you, okay? That's what we teach you about the virtues, okay? That's what we talk about temperance and chastity. It might be all kind of stuff, that you might not hear about, but we want this to work. And you need to have basic structures there in place for it to work. Okay, put it that way, okay? So John Paul again, okay? That's Vatican II. Human nature is by its nature co-educational, which is kind of a radical thing to say. And its dignity as well as its balance then depend at every moment of history and in every place of geographical longitude on who she shall be for him and he for her. The important word is who. Okay? That spouses meet, encounter each other reciprocally at the level of personal dignity, at the level of a person. The wife is not the ball and chain. Do you understand? She's not, I don't know there's other names, it's not that, okay? It's who she is, okay? It's her whole narrative, it's her whole story, what she may reveal in the intimacy of marriage. Do you understand? It's the husband as well, how he may communicate with his wife, okay? He's never a foreigner or a stranger, okay? He's always someone, okay? Like if he's a fireman, he has to go into burning buildings. He has to go and climb high buildings. He has to do dangerous work. And it's gross work and it's abrasive work. Do you understand? Or even if you're a Garda today, in Ireland. It's abrasive. You get abuse on the streets. Do you understand? You have to go into places that are violent, okay? You won't be called the nicest of names. It's abrasive, okay? But when he goes home to his wife, it's not abrasive, okay? She brings that sovereign femininity, that closeness, that touch, that warmth and comfort. A wife is soothing. Do you understand? It's soothing. It's warming. So what? So he can go out again the next day. Do you understand? It's different. The family is different, okay? And that's what femininity, just one example of how femininity charges up masculinity by being soothing, by being healing, by being calming. And just listening to someone. I can't talk about my family because I start crying, but so I won't, okay? But I've seen that in my parents' relationship. He could always talk to her. You know, if things weren't going well in the yard, he'd come in and talk to her. It's just, you know, just a very simple thing. You know, he could talk to her. That's how the relationship stayed, you know. Thank God it's a good one. But, you know, you know, and often you can't talk to your colleagues, you know. They don't understand. They want you to go off playing cards with them and gambling and drinking and going golfing for the weekend when you can't really afford to, you know. So not always the best of influence. I know you can have friends outside your family, you know, and you can have good friends, but you know, sometimes they're not the best of influences at the same time, okay? So who she'll be for him and he for her, okay? It's kept at the level of the person. Okay, when two people encounter each other, when they meet each other, when I met him, I met someone, that's lovely, but you know, it has to be real. Okay, it's not this romantic kind of roller coaster, you know, this kind of crazy kind of love that goes on, okay? It's not that. Yeah, so this is it, okay? So it in that one man, one woman encounter, okay, we wanted to go deeper, okay? By contrast, in the Song of Songs, there's two kinds of loves, Pope Benedict says, okay? The first is this searching love. This word expresses the experience of a love which involves a real discovery of the other. Oh no, I've got it wrong, okay? Oh yeah, so by contrast with an indeterminate searching love, dodom, okay, it's the early existential experience of love, okay? It's when you meet someone, okay, pure in heart, you get a date and you really like someone, okay, and it's lovely, and you go out and you have a good time, okay? And you go on retreats and things like that. That's lovely, okay? It's searching, you get to know the person. It's nice and exciting and adventurous and all that, okay? But it can also be very selfish, okay? This word expresses the experience of a love which, this love which involves a real discovery of the other, moving beyond the selfish character that prevailed earlier, okay? Love, ahaba, now becomes concern and care for the other. No longer is it self-seeking or sinking into the intoxication of happiness or being in love, okay? Instead, it seeks the good of the beloved. Okay, and you see this even outside the Christian dimension. As I remember a priest telling me in his parish, there's a family, I don't know, they weren't really believers, but he could see the care that happened there between, I think the wife was sick and the care she got, you know? So there's a deeper love than romantic attraction. Now, romantic attraction, as I said yesterday, it's elational, it's jubilant, you know, it's exulting, you know. You're in seventh heaven, you're on the clouds, and that's fine, okay? That's fine, okay? That's normal enough, okay? But it's not the deepest kind of love, okay? The deepest kind of love comes later, usually, when your spouse really needs you, when your husband or wife really needs you, and help with the children as well, okay? When you go through difficult patches, okay? In your marriage or in your family. You know, and it could be just a car crash. My dad had a car crash when I was young, you know. I was funny, you know, I was asleep inside in the house, and he was going to bring me with him. But because I was asleep, he left me there, because he usually bring me in the car. And a guy came around the road on the wrong side, outside Kilmarnock Thomas, and crashed into him. Wow. Okay, head-on collision, I suppose, yeah. And he was in hospital. He was okay. It was his tummy. He had to have an operation on his tummy, but he's okay. You know, he was okay. But still, you know, little things that happen, you know. What if I'd been awake? What if I wanted to go with him that day? You know, just the little things that happen, how God is kind of looking over us as well in those little things, you know. But hardships, you know, that happen, you know, that's when you need your wife. That's when you need the mother of your children. That's when you have to be strong for each other. Okay? That's when you have to give everything. That's why all this self-giving thing is all kind of big cloud romantic love, you know. Oh yeah, the gift of self. I know I read Christopher West and oh Jason, I know that's what I want to do, you know. But it's not that at all. It's actually getting the dinner ready. Do you understand? It's actually changing nappies. It's the little acts of love. It's much closer to Mary's meals than theology of the body. Do you understand? Because that's actually what John Paul is talking. He says, the little acts of love. The many little acts of love. They make a marriage. Oh, we'll go to Ibiza, you know. Or maybe not. Okay. Go to Killarney, you know. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand? We do romantify it. Do you understand? We do, and that's normal. But it's not what he's talking about. In one sense. Okay? He's talking about Dodom or Ahaba, okay? It's the deeper love. The family is a school of the deeper humanity. The family is your crash course in humanity. And your marriage will be that as well. It's your crash course in humanity. Remember? And you won't be perfect going into it. And things will come up. Okay? You know, you won't be ready for it. Things will come. You won't be ready for marriage. But you have to have certain things in place. Certain values, okay? That's what we're trying to do here, okay? Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Okay, so the nice part, I like this part, okay? So, Pope Francis says, the mothers are the strongest antidote to the spread of self-centered individualism, okay? It is they who testify to the beauty of life. Okay, my sister, before Holly had her accident, she was living in London, you know, and she'd married in London. And she says that when she appeared in the park, the local park, with a baby, people actually spoke to her like she was a normal human being. You know, if you go for a walk for yourself in the park in London, nobody will talk to you. But if you have a baby or two babies, you know, people actually say, oh, there's a normal person with a baby, child. Hello, how are you, you know? Do you understand? She knows the difference in how people relate to her. Do you understand? Because she's become a mother. Her identity had changed and how people perceived her had changed. And she's changed herself, okay? Becoming a mother changes you, okay? Yeah, St. Thomas Aquinas, again, he does talk about love. Sorry, Marielle, he does talk about love, okay? He does. Mothers who are those who love the most seek to love more than to be loved. It's a change in identity. It's a change in your very being, okay, to have children. You know, as Father Harris said in my first Mass, when he did the thing, he says, at least you know where, he's talking about mothers, you know, and the children, he says, at least you know where they are 9 to 3 o'clock, you know, or 9 to 5, you know, that kind of way. You know, and he was saying that a priest can't be 9 to 5, and a mother can't be 9 to 5. You know, at least you know where they are when they're in school, okay? You need to know they're there, okay? But it's like that, you know? Or somebody, was it Father John, another Father John, who said, you know, like, even if you kill me, I won't stop loving you. A mother, you know, like, even if they kill me, I still won't stop loving them, you know? Because a mother's love is so strong. It's biological, I suppose it's supernatural, it's all these things, okay? And it's very self-giving, it's very sacrificial, too. All the things she has to do, all the nice things you could do as a single woman, okay? All the kind of little shopping outings you could have, you know? You can't have them now for yourself, okay? Do you understand? So, yeah, so the maternal antidote, okay? So we need mothers, okay? Yeah, and here's, yeah. So this is John Paul again. Now, you've heard me say this before, but it's good, okay? It's commonly taught that women are more capable than men of paying attention to another person. That's true, okay? I think that's true. That motherhood develops this, and that motherhood develops this predisposition even more. Attentiveness to the I. Attentiveness to the other, okay? The mother sees what the other needs. And she's in there with it, before you even really realize you need it. You know, my mother even collects me when it started raining, and I told you, she goes up the road, she gets in the car, she sees the rain outside, she says, he's gone walking, he'll get drowned. Gets in the car, comes up after her. I'm like in my 50s. You know, I don't need her to come, but that's her mother's, she's like mother mode, you know, she just comes in the car. And I have to get in and go back and enjoy my walk. I didn't mind the rain, you know. But, you know, it's just crazy. But that's mother mode. She can't get off that mode. I'm 7 years old when I go home. That's the way I am. I need things. You have socks? It's never a philosophical discussion between my mother who said, have you socks? Yeah, I think, yeah. Have you boxer shorts? Yeah. Have you vests? Yeah. Yeah, I have loads. I'm going, you know. That's the conversation, like, so often, you know. You know, it's never, what does Sartre think of that, you know? It's never that, okay? But it's very practical, okay? It's very motherly. Do you understand? That kind of thing, okay? Okay, so this is more, it's going to be quite sensitive as well, okay? In Western culture, we're experiencing a crisis of fatherhood. Okay, for different reasons, in fact, okay? Pope Francis says a society without fathers, okay? That's the difficult thing, okay? He says in Western culture, in Amoris Laetitia, he says, in Western culture, the father is said to be symbolically absent, missing or vanished, okay? Now that's different from before, okay? The father was very much the head of the household. The father sometimes was autocratic. Do you understand? He was the king. He was the one who got all his needs satisfied. Okay? At first, this was perceived as a liberation from the father as master, from the father as representative of a law imposed from without, from the father as the arbiter of his children's happiness, and an obstacle to the emancipation and autonomy of people. Okay? So, when there was a change in fatherhood, you know, okay, first of all, maybe it was perceived as a freedom. Okay, I don't have to deal with that autocrat, that remote man, okay, who bullies my mother and bullies everyone. Do you understand? Unfortunately, that's an experience families have had, okay? Like, even my auntie says, and she's quite comical on this, she said, like, my mother was in a family of 15, you know, and my auntie says, it wasn't for love of sex, you know. My auntie says that, you know, it's just, you know, it was different, you know, it was the man. Okay, what's the father meant to be, okay? This is kind of thing I put up myself, okay? I think it's kind of helpful. A father is fruitful, okay? In contemporary society, because perhaps in some way people are so much into gaming and other things, other kind of escapism pursuits, you know, it can be good in one sense, okay, for a little, but extremes, it's like, you're not fruitful, okay? You're a 37-year-old child, you're 42 and you're still playing games, okay? You're still just escaping into your own adventure world. Do you understand? You're going on safari. Why don't you get married? Be responsible, you know? Father is fruitful, okay? So, father is also, men are fertile, do you understand? In marriage, in state of marriage, yeah, that can generate children. He's the origin, you know, he's the seed, okay, of your life. You know, you come from the seed of your father, you know, in cooperation with your mother. So father is fruitful. Also, you know, the fruitfulness of a family around you is a lovely thing. You know, it's a beautiful thing for a father to actually go in and to be contented in his own family. Okay, be kind of a dad, you know, and just be there. Father is reliable. Okay, when dad says that he'll bring you to Tramore, to the amusements and to the slide and to the bumpers after harvest, he will bring you. Because we're always told when we're young, we'll go after the harvest because we're farmers, you know. And we did. We often went, you know. So when father says something, he'll do it. Okay. I remember one time I was in Knockadune summer camp. It was kind of funny. I had to go into praying into the chapel. You know, I was doing my little kind of meditation or something, and I told the kids on the camp, listen, turn down the music, okay? Just turn down, I'll be in there till 3:30, just leave me alone, just turn down the music, you know? So I went in, I forgot I'd said that to them, you know? And I came to 3:30 and then the music went on. I actually did what I told them, you know? I completely forgot. But what Father says something, it's going to be carried through. So I'll be home at 6 o'clock. You know that kind of, it's very simple things. You learn reliability, you learn trust, okay? Even that story was in Albania, the father, he dug out his child after the earthquake. Remember that story? He dug for about 38 hours, I can't remember how long it was, you know? And the little son with his little computer was still conscious, saying, my father will come for us, you know? And the father did. Father turned up, you know? So Father's reliable. Father is responsible. See, that's what happened when we get a distortion of masculinity. Men tend to become irresponsible. They're not where they're meant to be. They're not at their posts. They're not at their duties. You know? They're not taking the commitment seriously. They're absent. They're doing something. They're having a game somewhere. Do you understand? But no, Father is responsible. Okay? He won't let you... If he's collecting you, he'll pick you up. Okay, you won't be left there stranded. Okay, because he's a responsible person. He just knows where he needs to be. Okay? Father is courageous. He's brave. Okay? He protects the family. He's the human shield in the family. Okay? He protects from all kinds of aggressors from the outside. Even the new boyfriend that you don't like. Even the new boyfriend has to prove himself. Do you understand? And the father say, no. No. He might be wrong at times, okay? He might be wrong, okay? But you understand? But he is the human shield. Okay? And he's courageous. And he's, he's going ahead that way. And courageous also means to be patient, okay? Father is spiritual. Father has an inner life. He's not just a robotic muscle man, okay? Do you understand? He's actually a man of prayer. My granddad used to go down his rosary every night at the side of the bed. Like see those pictures in the museum yesterday. See the old people here in Knock, on the island, on the Aran Islands. They praying their rosary. You're just praying their rosary as if it belonged to them, as part of them, you know. But my granddad was like that, real country, simple man. And then he got so old and so, he was near death, and they said, you don't have to be going down on your knees in front of your bed, And he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop him. He wouldn't stop praying his rosary, They walked to Mass. To get to Mass, they had to walk about 2 miles every Sunday, and walk back before they got a car. Father is spiritual, okay? And men pick that up as well. Sons pick that up from their father. The father's not ashamed to say the rosary. He's not embarrassed by it. He's properly masculine, but he prays. He has devotion to the Mother of God. Do you understand? You pick that up. It's kind of caught rather than taught. Father is present. Sometimes I'm not very good in pure in heart, but I kind of have to learn it over the years, and I'm not great on it. But you learn that sometimes, even as a priest, you just have to be there. If you're there, it makes a big difference. I remember two groups one time. One was in Switzerland, and we had a bit of a disaster. We were going to Lourdes, and we missed the train. And I went away to say my prayers. I didn't want to say my prayers, just to say my evening prayer. And when I came back, they were all fighting. I says, if I hadn't left the group, that wouldn't have happened. And I went away pure in heart another time, And I came back to pure in heart. This is years ago, and you won't know the people involved. But World War III had happened when I was away. I said, what is going on? Do you understand? It's the presence of the father in the family. It impedes a lot of bad things, And it's not about the preaching and the teaching, all that. It's not part of it, but it's actually a whole ministry of presence as well. Okay? And it's like that. A dad in the family is just a presence. Like he doesn't have to be the most charismatic personality, Doesn't have to be the greatest storyteller or anything like that. He doesn't have to be that. He just has to be there. Okay? And when he's there, he solidifies things. Do you understand? That's what fathers need to learn. You know, you have to learn where you're meant to be. You know, a friend of mine got married and he was working with, he's working with Baldolin, what would you call it, the Air Force, the Irish Air Force, would it be Irish Air Force, yeah. But he had to change his job because he knew that the Air Force were going to bring him away from his family, you know. And he changed to Dublin bus. Probably wasn't as exciting at work, and he loved aviation, all that, you know. But he knew that his prospects with Dublin bus are much better because he knew he'd be closer to his family. He would be taken away to his family. It's a hard kind of choice, you know. That's what self-giving is. Father is present. Father is forgiving. Like I say, when you put the hole in the glass house in the garden with your slitter, okay, and you have to face your dad, and you have to go into his studio or into his office and meet him, and you expect to get killed, you know, and he sits you down, and you have a talk about it, and you both feel better. That's when you realise dad is forgiving. Do you understand? And it won't happen again. I remember a friend of mine in college, in school, because I was in boarding school, he told me that. That's what his dad was like. You'd go into the office and he'd have a chat with you, and you wouldn't do it again. It was kind of like that, you know. He had a better way with them, okay? So father doesn't hold grudges. He's not vindictive. He's not trying to get things that you did 3 years ago and call them up again. He's not going to call you names. That happens when it all goes wrong, okay? He's forgiving. He lets it go. It's important, okay? And father is sacrificial, okay? Like one of the early courses I gave to Maryvale, but I remember one of the dads on it, a young dad, he was saying, like, you just get used to just getting up at night. He's just waking up, you're getting up with the kids, you're getting up to they calling, and you get up, and you know your sleep patterns are out, and you just get used to it. Do you understand? You're not getting your night's sleep. And one of our friends in Pure in Heart who had a baby, it's 2 babies now, she hasn't slept in a year. Do you understand? That's sacrifice. You know, when people need it, that kind of thing, you know, that may be an exaggeration, but she hasn't slept, you know. And it's that. It's doing this work, it's earning this money, it's doing this business trip, it's kind of keeping the accounts together, it's trying to hold it all together. It's being the last to eat, you know. It's dropping into bed absolutely exhausted. That's fatherhood. Do you understand? That's the deeper humanity. Okay? Image of Jesus, image of the Father. To have seen me is to have seen the Father. Do you understand? I lay down my life, okay? And I take it up again. I have the power to take it up again. Unless the grain of wheat falls into the ground. Okay? So for every family, every father, there'll be sacrifice. And you're not a man unless you learn how to sacrifice. And life is not all crosses. There is the cross in Christianity, and it molds us and it forms us. And there is suffering, and there will be suffering in families. But it's not all the time, you know. There are times when it's downhill. It's what the Jesuits call consolation. Even once, you could have years of that, do you understand? And then something happens and you're in a cross, you're in a trial. Do you understand? So it'll be like that. It's kind of like, you know, it's like that. It's not straight. Christian life is not straight, it's crooked. But God is writing straight. Do you understand? So it's not always cross. Don't be too morbid about that, you know. You know, I'm getting married to suffer, you know. Give me a break. You know, no, it's not that. Oh, flick. Oh, yeah. What happened there?
Go back.
Yeah.
And again.
Oh, there you go more, yeah. Okay, do you understand? So there is sacrifice. And the sacrifice is unselfishness. You sacrifice to love. You sacrifice because you love. The sacrifices in life are because we're a loving being. I'm a ens amens, okay, a being who loves. That's where my sacrifice comes from. If I don't love, I don't have much to sacrifice. Do you understand? That's where it comes from, okay? Just to get that kind of right, and Pope Benedict is good on that as well, okay? Does that make sense? That's just a kind of a pattern that I find helpful. Oh, get back. Okay, so children. So children are the supreme gift of marriage and contribute greatly to the good of the parents themselves. Yeah, this is a lovely one from Letter to Families. I think it's one of my favorite speakings of or writings of John Paul II. He says, education is before else a reciprocal offering on the part of both parents. They communicate their own mature humanity to the newborn child, who gives them in turn the newness and freshness of the humanity which has been brought into the world. So the child renews the parents. It freshens them up. It gives them a new boost of life. It generates their love, generates their giving. Everything comes full circle with a baby. Do you understand? Because God is working. You know, God works through babies. You know, he wants babies in the world, okay? Because babies bring new life, not only to themselves, but they bring it to others. You know? Like I was in Moore Street one time. I heard one of the Dublin women. It's lovely. She said, she's my middle. Means that she was her middle child. She's my middle. I mean, she's had 3 children, and maybe this one's in the middle, you know. But it's lovely. It's just like, that's who she is. I've got 3 children. She's my middle, you know. And, you know, and that's someone who gave me life. Okay? That's who gave me a new humanity when they were born. Okay? That's who I'm responsible for, okay? So raising children can be considered a genuine apostolate. Okay, so, you know, not to be escaping into other apostolates. This might be your full-time job, you know, that kind of sense. If you're homeschooling as well, you know, if you consider that. And then, you know, early lessons, early teens, late teens. Then there's another stage after teens, isn't there? So I don't know what that is, but it's 21 or whatever that is, you know. Later. All the things you've got to work on and all the things you've got to communicate. And then you have to keep yourself going as well. Do you understand? You have to keep your marriage off the rocks. Do you understand? You have to keep your husband in touch. You know all those things you have to do? That's when we need God. So you can't do this. You can't re-civilize the Western world without God. That's what we're trying to do. We're going to do, well, it's not, we don't need God. We have another option. We have you know, other forms of life, okay? But no, we need God. Is that okay? So children, okay? So the family, like the church, ought to be a place where the gospel is transmitted and from which the gospel radiates. In a family which is conscious of its mission, all the members evangelize and are evangelized, okay? They learn how to pray. They learn about Mary and Joseph. They learn about their guardian angel, okay? They learn to say their prayers at night, okay? They learn to say their catechism. They learn the little basic doctrines of the church, okay? They go into the Dominicans on a Sunday and they do the Sunday school, okay? They come back, you know, they get good confirmation. The pure in heart come in and they give a little confirmation class and they say, there's something beyond what TikTok is, you know, the kind of, you know, it's a place where people are evangelized, okay? But see, that stopped in our culture. You know, my mother Eucharia was a friend of mine's, Mercy Nun. She said, the Catholics do nothing. She said, they do nothing. Catholics do nothing, you know. She always thought the born-again Christians were a bit better because at least they do something, you know. the Catholics do nothing, she says. Never met him. You know, and I would say to her one time, she was giving out about someone moving her statue. She says, Mother Eucharia, you can't be judging now, you know. I said to her in my most pious kind of 20-year-old kind of voice, 22-year-old voice, you know. And she says, oh, I'm not judging. But I tell you, I make a good stab at it. She's hard to put down, you know, because she's in her 80s and she was just full of life, you know. And very holy, like Mother Teresa of Waterford, you know. No, she was. There was an article about her. She's the Mother Teresa of Waterford, yeah. I think it's something she was shown to me one time, you know. And I had her for a little time when I was working as a social worker. Yeah, she kind of come in and kind of befriend me and things like that. So the parents not only communicate the gospel to their children, but from their children they can themselves receive the same gospel as deeply lived by them. And such family becomes the evangelizer of many other families and of the neighbourhood of which it forms part. You remember Trace Hines and Trace McChrystal and Patrick? Like Trace was telling me during that weekend we had in Derry, she was telling me about her daughter going on her first date, you know. And the first date was kind of like, it was kind of out in the garden with all the other 10 children looking on. They said, how are they getting on? How's it going? What are you talking about? You know? Oh, that's the image again. I don't know if that's true, but it was kind of funny. Like you go on a date with your family and they're looking out the garden shed at you, you know, or looking out the window at you, you know. But you understand, like, you belong to this family. They've shared, there's certain values they transmitted to you. When you're 17, you have to hold on to them. Do you understand? You have to remember who your dad is and, you know, things like that. Remember what your mum said to you and who you are. Because I think what happens in culture as well, we forget who we are. Unfortunately, it happens in pure in heart as well. People forget. After a few years of pure in heart, they forget the whole thing. They're living like everyone else. They're not even going to mass. And they came on retreats. And they got all the talks. They're at adoration. They're not even going to mass. Okay? It's sad. Okay, so this is the last one, okay? So we're called to be physicians of that civilization about which we dream. The civilization of love, okay? The civilization of love, Pope Paul's beautiful phrase, is built on the family. It can't happen without the family. The family is the cornerstone of it. The civilization that contemporary culture, I suppose, is trying to build is the family, is the culture of fake love. It's the culture of fakeness. What's that? Fake news, yeah. Yeah, but fake news kind of penetrating our lives. Fake ideas about ourselves. You know, all these things. It doesn't build people up, it destroys people. Because if we get the right nourishment of the truth, it nourishes us as persons. Okay, we should be getting that first in our families, okay? It is true culture that man as a human being becomes more human, okay? So if we get the right culture, man as a human being becomes more human, exists more fully, and has more being. Okay? Like it is normal to be normal. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like normality is more life in it. You know, like if you are going on a Sunday picnic and you forget to put out the dog, go back and get the dog and put him out, okay? Do you know what I mean? It's just the whole family going in one trajectory, going together, and go on the picnic and go have a lovely Sunday afternoon together, okay? But, you know, just remember, it'll be a bit crazy as well. It'll be a small bit mad. It'll be a small bit daft. But if the basic pillars are there, like those people in Knock, 1879, what they had their rosary. Okay? They didn't have multiple cereals for breakfast. They didn't have honey jars. They didn't even have marmalade. I don't know how they lived that. You know, they didn't have these mod cons in modern conveniences. Okay? They didn't have washing machines or dryers. You know, they didn't have hair blowers, you know. But they had their rosary. And they clung to it. Do you understand? Better than all the mod cons. Better than all the gadgets you have. Sister Neve made me a new one. I'm delighted with it, okay? Deadly. Real solid too, you know. But,
When did you get it?
huh?
When did you get it?
Only a few weeks. Look, it's so white. Like, look, it's so white. It's really white, you know. Really white and black, you know. But do you understand? That's my life. You know, as Dominican, I'm a priest, okay? Obviously, but rosary is very important to Dominicans. But listen, that's more important than my phone and my laptop and my carpet shoes and my runners, you know. My rosary, okay? That's what you'll need. I don't know what they are either. But do you understand? All they had was simple piety. Do you understand? Now, what I'm trying to do over the weekend, I'm trying to broaden out the simple piety as well. You do need to know what the virtues are. And you do need to know when you're not living them. And you do know what the real gift of self is. Okay? It's not the sunset, you know, it's not the honeymoon sunset, it's not that, honestly. Yeah, and this is lovely, okay? The civilization of love is possible. It is not a utopia. God doesn't give us something that he can't fulfill. Remember on the day of your wedding, the day of your marriage, all the graces are there. They're given to you in a suitcase. You get them all on the day of your wedding. You just have to take them out of the suitcase. Do you understand? They're all given to you. It will work because Christ is there. He's giving you a sacrament so you can love each other, so you be faithful to each other. Do you understand? And you can do it if you get the structures right. Get the things you can't let go of. You can't let go of your rosary. You can't let go of your adoration. It might be hard to get adoration at times, you know. Sunday Mass certainly can't let go of that. No way. Let go of these things. And coming to Knock will teach you those things again. Okay? And this is meant to complement all that, okay? It's what you have. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. I think that's...